wow, what a nice guy. All right, everyone, welcome to another Moto Monday. In front of me, I have my 1981 cb750, kind of brat cafe, whatever you would want, a scrambler even. It's kind of a mishmash. I've had this bike for a little over a decade. Been almost everywhere with it, certainly here on the West Coast or in Southwest. So I'm just going to go over a few things with it with you guys, just let you know what I've done. Most all the work I've done myself. I had a friend kind of help me rebuild this engine, so it actually has the 900 pistons and jugs. Moving here to Albuquerque is, we're 5,000 feet plus up, and my house here is actually at 5,600 feet. So it was about tuning these carburetors. I've changed the jetting. I've done all this stuff to try and get this to not be starving for air and gas, air in particular. I ended up putting these kind of pods on. They were cheap ones too, but I figured I was like, well, I'll see whatever. And of course, I've never gotten around to putting some good ones on, but I will probably this summer. Aside from that, I welded the rear end. There's a LED strip in the back. Projector headlight up front that a buddy gave me. A local artist, an artisan on Instagram, made by Jake, did the pinstriping on this. This color is actually a Subaru cool khaki gray that I kind of did here in my garage. Like every couple of years, I kind of get bored with it. And because it's already been chopped up and all that stuff, I don't feel a lot of reservation and sort of reinventing it. It could never go back to stock. Too much has been cut off. And the other thing, the wheels are Comstars. Actually, when I got the bike from a friend, it had spoke wheels on it, and I more recently put these Comstars on because my rear wheel with the spokes had a few broken spokes from hooning this thing around and riding it how I should be riding it off road and all that stuff. So I do need to relace those, and I will eventually put those back on. Basically, what we're going to do today is I'm going to take this bike out. I'm going over to Mike's home shop, and we're still working on the BMW. But it's a beautiful day out. It's almost 70 degrees here in Albuquerque. Felt like a good day to just get the bike out and take kind of the long way to Mike's house. See if I can kind of walk you some of the quirks and the fun things about this bike in particular, but also kind of like thinking about vintage bikes. I think a lot of people, there's this sort of allure to like a vintage bike. I figured it'd be a good opportunity to kind of let people know what it's like to own, maintain, and daily actually a vintage bike and sort of the pitfalls and some of the really cool things. Take you all along with me, and let's see if we can make this happen. Okay, here we go. New Mexico is a really amazing place actually to ride. We have desert, mountain, lots of open space, lots of unique terrain, and whether you like on-road or off-road, there's good twisties, all the good stuff. So here we go. We're heading east. Those are the Sandia Mountains. They are almost directly east. So we're going to come up here. We're heading to a favorite little, I guess, canyon or mountain road. It's not too far from my house here, less than 10 minutes, which is cool. So I want to talk to you about owning a vintage bike here. So we take this turn. A couple important things to know. when you are thinking about buying a vintage bike. One is, and the top one is, you're probably going to have to wrench on it yourself. If you're not super interested in wrenching, owning a vintage bike is probably not for you. The other thing is price. Oftentimes, I think now maybe not as much, but for a while, you could maybe pick up a vintage motorcycle, certainly a Honda, for not a lot of money. Maybe 2,500, 3 grand. In maintenance, finding parts is really difficult, and when you find good ones, they're not cheap. Not going to save as much money as just buying a Royal Enfield for 5,500. It has a 3-year warranty. Parts are readily available. They're not overly expensive if you do want to customize it a little bit. Let's get into the reason I love riding a vintage motorcycle, and I think a lot of people who have them become kind of addicted to it. And really, it's for me, it's this you know, being able to ride these canyons in a way that is really tactile, really analog. There are no rider's aids or anti-lock brakes or any sort of updated suspension. So really, it's all on you knowing the motorcycle and putting the motorcycle where it needs to be on the road, and knowing that there's not a lot of safety nets. With a vintage bike, you get a real sense of what the engine is, and you get a real sense of the character in the engine. You don't have to push the bike to its limit to really enjoy it. This Honda, I feel like the noises, and again, everything, the tactileness, and even the fact that I built a lot of this motorcycle myself. For me, that's the enjoyment. So, for those of you out there like trying to are craving that, whether it's your first bike or you maybe have something a little more modern, yeah, I mean that's what you're going to expect. And I'm not saying anything new, right? Like every vlog has said something like that, um, but it is true, you know. The other thing too, I want to talk about specifically this Honda, which is again a CB750 dual overhead. And the dual overhead cam is really the important thing. I think for a lot of riders who have ridden modern sports bikes, certainly anything inline four, dual overhead, this is kind of the great granddaddy of it. And I think going back to basically what the roots of that engine is, I think it becomes very apparent when you ride this bike the true nature of what that engine is. And I think that to me is the funnest thing. I've ridden a CBR, actually 600 inline four, and I mean it was amazing, but like nothing like you know this bike. And it's funny because technically, performance wise, it's way under. Like a CBR 600 will smoke this bike, but I guarantee you, depending on what your riding prowess is, you're gonna have just as much fun on the CB750. So you can kind of see here, that's the desert side of Albuquerque in New Mexico. Like, you can kind of see it out there in the distance there, and yeah, it's just a really kind of cool city, and area. Here we go. We're almost to Mike's house. I think that I hope you guys enjoyed yourself here. I certainly did. This is kind of a test thing for me. I enjoy moto vlogs, so I wanted to try doing it. Okay, we are coming into Mike's place right now. If you guys have any questions on vintage motorcycles, vintage bikes, vintage Hondas, feel free to leave a comment. We definitely read them, and I'm happy to help if I can. And we're just backing up here. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming along. If you made it this far, we super appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video.